Jingle WiFPy, encoding a tune with UDP packets. I'm Golf Louie, and this is another project for the RF Project 14 on Element 14 in November 2019. Continuing on my line of radio abuse projects, I was thinking of something more simple and accessible this time. For this project, I have my trusty Raspberry Pi Model A, other Raspberry Pi models are available, with a 4GB SanDisk microSD-HC card in an adapter and a WiFPy dongle for wireless connectivity, which will form the radio for this project. Also worth having is the base of a multi-comp Raspberry Pi case, so that the board doesn't short out on scraps of wire on your bench. It just clips into the bottom half, while I leave the lid somewhere else, so that I can access the pins freely when needed. Everything's already set up, namely Raspbian Buster and Python 3, so I can just plug in the power and put that to one side. The next thing I need is my ICOM IC-R20 communications receiver. It has a distinction of being one of a few receivers capable of receiving narrowband modulations up into 2.4 GHz. The crackle you are hearing is the sound of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth transmissions in my area. A regular access point sends out beacons 10 times a second. While the Wi-Fi transmission is in 2.4 GHz with 20 or 40 MHz wide emissions, the radio is only tuning into a 20 kHz chunk of the spectrum. Thus each packet manifests itself as pop. This is not a true AM signal, but we can use this to create music by sending packets periodically. Not the best rendition of Jingle Bells there is, but perhaps unique in its mode of delivery. To visualize this better, I got out the Tektronix RSA306 real-time spectrum analyzer. My network is running in mixed 20/40 MHz mode, so that we have a 40 MHz wide split spectrum and DPX view of channel 1 and 5. The beacons from the AP are visible as a periodic burst every 100 milliseconds in the lower 20 MHz portion, with sporadic data transmissions in between. Once the music gets going, we can see the transmissions from the WiFPy occupy the full 40 MHz bandwidth mode to maximize throughput, creating a lot of activity on the network. Luckily, the packets are short and are being fired to a computer that would otherwise just discard it. We can look into the DPX spectrum more closely by stopping the acquisition. Zooming out, we can see the time structure of the song, but zoomed in, it is not fine enough to measure the note timings in this mode. We can instead look at it using the amplitude versus time module, which shows the song as having periodic bursts, while the background behavior is not so regular. In this mode, it is possible to use cursors to measure the interpacket gap to measure the tone frequency. It shows how useful having a spectrum analyzer can be to visualize signals. That being said, some Wi-Fi products can be set up with a computer-based utility that conveys the password of your network to the device by sending out broadcast packets over Wi-Fi with a particular timing interval and repetition. Even though the packets themselves are encrypted on a secure network, Wi-Fi devices can still receive the encrypted packets and determine their timing to extract this information. In this case, the information is Jingle Bells, the melody. Happy holidays.